So we've inherited from the 20th century the idea that success lies in endless growth, that a city or a nation succeeds by growing its economy more and more and more and more and more forever. But there are problems with this approach. First, we know that we are using Earth's resources in a completely unsustainable way to fuel that growth. Secondly, that growth has not benefited everybody. Many people say that's not my growth. My income, my livelihood has been flat, even worse. So who's getting this value? We need to come back to Earth, because nothing on Earth succeeds by growing endlessly. Nature grows until she's grown up, but then they grow up and they mature, and that is how we thrive. And we need economies that learn to thrive as well. So the donut economy is an economy that invites us to belong again on planet Earth. It invites us to focus on meeting the needs of all people within the means of this delicately balanced living planet. So the current economy values things that are bought and sold because they show up as national income growth. So our current economy values everybody driving their car. It sells petrol, it sells cars, it creates traffic jams, it pollutes the air, it stops children from getting to school on a bicycle. So we need to value instead the things that really matter. First, we need to value care for ourselves, our partners, our children, our parents, because care is what makes society work. Secondly, mainstream economies incur a lot of costs that we then have to clean up after. Cars create traffic and they pollute the buildings. They make people sick. We have to get them better in hospital. We need to move from curing things to preventing problems. Thirdly, we've inherited from a century of consumer propaganda the idea that everybody needs their own. Let's move from this ownership to service use. We can share a car if ever we need one through a car club. It's not going to show up so much money spent in GDP, but it's going to create a much better life, community, and sustainability. When students are taught economics in university, they are taught this idea of rational economic man, as if who we should be in the economy is individual, self-interested, with money as the way of interacting with other people, nature at our feet, and endlessly calculating how can I get the best deal. This is a really, really narrow version of who we actually are, but it's also a dangerous one, because research has shown that the more that students are taught this model, the more they actually value and respect and admire it, the more they want to become like it. So who we tell ourselves we are shapes who we actually become. We need to tell ourselves a far richer, truer story of human nature. We are the most social of all mammals. We share, we reciprocate, we care, and we cooperate. And these very human skills, we need to make the most of them in the way we design our economies. So we've inherited from last century a very strong, narrow model of what business success looks like. Milton Friedman was really the voice piece of this idea. He said the social responsibility of business is to make a profit. And so this gave businesses a sense of permission to pursue the maximum rate of profit at whatever cost. This is not at all true. This is just one of many, many ways that we can design business. So we can invite anybody running a company to ask these 5 questions. 1, what is your purpose? Why does your business even exist? What is it in service of in the world? 2, what are the networks of relationships? How do you relate to your customers, to your employees, to your suppliers? And how do you build your values in those relationships? 3, how are you governed? Who has voice in decision making? What are the rules and the ambition you set for yourself, and how do you measure your success? But really importantly, 4, how is your business owned? Because whether it's owned by the founding entrepreneur or by shareholders or by the state or by the employees, these very different designs of ownership shape, critically five, how the business is financed and what that money is expecting and demanding. Is it investing in the purpose to bring about transformation, or is it actually going to extract as much financial value as it can for the owners? I think it's an exciting moment to be an entrepreneur because there are many, many new ways of designing a business. There's a new ecosystem of enterprises arising, bringing old ideas and new ideas together to show that Milton Friedman, that's not at all the only way we can do this. We have so many better ideas that actually use business to help bring humanity into the donut. So the industrial economy that we have inherited from our grandparents from last century is a take, make, use, lose. We take Earth's materials, we stick them in the pipe of production, we make them into stuff we want, we use it often only once, and then we throw it away. And this linear degenerative economy, this is what pushes us over planetary boundaries. We need to bend this linear economy into a circular, cyclical economy so that resources are not used up, they're used again and again, far more carefully, collectively, creatively, and slowly. And think of the jobs and the creativity we can bring to making this circular economy. That transforms how we design. It transforms how we work as businesses. We've inherited systems and economies that tend to concentrate value and opportunity in the hands of a few. We are seeing the rise of a 1%, and during the COVID crisis, this was really supercharged. When all the resources and opportunities are in the hands of a 1%, there is no chance of meeting the needs of all people within the means of the living planet. We need to move from this very divisive design of an economy to a far more distributive design, one in which everybody takes a share in the value and opportunities that are created, right? Instead of being divisive, our economies become much more equitable. That is the only way we will get into the donut. So the goal here of the getting into the donut, leave nobody in the hole, leave nobody falling short on the essentials of life, but don't overshoot the ecological limits of our planetary home. We need to thrive in balance between the two. Now, sometimes people say this is utopian, to which I say, tell me which bit you're willing to give up. We don't need to meet the needs of everybody in the world, so we just give up on human rights? No, thank you. We don't need to live within the means of this beautiful, delicately balanced living planet? Then we are a crazy species destroying our own home. This is the design brief for the 21st century. Now, let's get creative about how we get there. So don't be an optimist if it makes you relax. Don't be a pessimist if it makes you give up. Be in action. Be in action in your own life, in all the places where you have influence. And each one of us in our lives, we can ask ourselves, how can I change the way I eat, the way I travel, the way I shop, the way I heat my home, the way I invest my money, and I divest, and I protest, and I volunteer. So get involved within the space of your own life. This is how we begin to make a difference. So I've been in Barcelona for the last 3 days and visited many different parts of the city. It's really clear that this city is on the move. The seeds of the future are already here. What matters is to bring those together and more make visible the possibility that opens up. Because so often people fear change just before it happens. We think we see everything we're going to lose, and we can't imagine how it can become. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Not in any one city in the world is this easy. But we know this is the direction we must go. It's the future we already want and need to create. So let's move, let's experiment, let's lean in and try. I feel it happening here.